Okay, I'm going to try this again. I did this on another platform and it messed up, so we're going to try again. Hi, Juliana. Okay, first off, I want to add a page in here, just something blank. I'm just going to, oops, so I did not mean to do that. Okay. All right, let's go back here. All right, so first off, I'm going to enlarge this one. So what we want to do is distribute just like you would if it said 5x times 5y. And when you're multiplying these, make sure you multiply what's on the outside. So 5 times 5 is 25. And then multiply what's on the inside. So that would be 18b. And then we're going to do this times this. So that would be 5 times 3 is 15, square root of 3. Now the 18 will simplify. If I go back to so I know this is going to be 25, and then 18 square root of 18b is 3 square root of 2b plus 15 square root of 3. So that's not going to change. And then 25 times 3 is 75 square root of 2b plus 15 square root of 3. And that would be your final answer because 2b and 3 are not the same, so you can't add them together. So that kind of takes me to your next. So here on this one, I would simplify 5 square root of 15 by multiplying it times negative 2 square root of 10b. So 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. The square root of 15 times the square root of 10 would be 150v. And then I would do the same thing here. I would multiply this times this. So that would be negative 15 square root of 45v. So now the 150v and the 45v aren't alike. I'm going to see if I can get them to be the same. Chances are you may not. So I know that 25 from the perfect square list will go into 150. So this would be negative 10. This would be 25 times 6v. So negative 10 times 5, square root of 6v. 25 times 6, because there are 6 quarters in $1.50. That's just kind of how I go through when I simplify these. So this is negative 50 square root of 6v. So this negative 10 square root of 150 is broken down to negative 50 square root of 6v. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the 15. This is 9 and 5v, because 9 times 5 is 45. So this is negative 15 times 3, square root of 5v. So this would be negative 45 square root of 5v. And then that would be my final answer because 6v and 5v are not the same terms. So that's just how you would go through that one. Let's see. This one here you would double distribute. So you would multiply all of this times this. So that would be negative 2 times negative 2, which is 4. The square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is 5. So that would become 20. Anytime you are multiplying a perfect square by itself, so the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 would just be 2. The square root of 10 times the square root of 10 would be 10, and so on. Next, you're going to take the same piece, but now you have to multiply it by this piece. So now you would distribute here. So negative 2 times 4 would be negative 8 square root of 5. So now you've done that. Now you come to the next piece. Now you multiply it times this. So that would be negative times negative, which would be positive 10 square root of 5. And then negative 5 times 4 would be negative 20. These two are alike. So negative 8 plus 10 is 2 square root 5 minus 20. This 20 minus 20 cancels out, so you're left with 2 square root of 5. And then that would be your answer there. Here, since you have this twice, then you're going to go the square root of 3m plus the square root of 5m times the square root of 3m plus the square root of 5m. So you do it the same way we did this problem over here. You double distribute. So the first piece times the first piece. So the square root of 3m times the square root of 3m is just 3m. The square root of 3m times the square root of 5m is the square root of 15m squared. And then you do the same thing with the 5. So 5m times 3m is 15m squared. Then the square root of 5m times the square root of 5m is 5m. Because anytime you multiply a square root by itself, it's just the number. So now I'm going to add the 3m and the 5m, so that gives me 8m. And I have 2 of those, so that's going to be 2 square root of 15m squared. The square root of m squared is just m, so this is 8m plus 2m square root of 15. And then you would stop at that point because you can't combine them because 8m does not have a square root of 15. All right, down here at the bottom where we're dividing, I always try to simplify as much as I can with these. So first thing I would do here is I would separate what's in the numerator. So we've got 5, 3, p squared, 5, 2, p squared. The 5's cancel, those cancel, and you're left with the square root of 3 over the square root of 2. According to math rule, you cannot have one of these square roots in the denominator. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by whatever is in the bottom. And then, of course, just multiply straight across like you regularly would with fractions. So 2 times 3 is 6. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2. And this is where you would stop because you cannot divide a square root by a whole number. So I'm going to stop here and let you watch this part, or at least this much, and then let me know if you need more, okay? So I'm going to stop right here, and just let me know, and I can do some more examples. I just don't want to overwhelm you, okay? All right, let me know. I want to go over your perfect squares with you because I don't know what your teacher has shown you. All right, so for starters, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, and I'm going to go through the list, and I'm just going to do the first few. So 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, 9 times 9, 10 times 10. We'll just go there, okay? So what we're going to want to do is highlight these numbers, all right? And I say highlight these numbers because those are the numbers that we're going to be looking at, all right? So going back now to your assignment, and the reason I pointed that out, actually, I want to do one more thing, just from looking at your assignment. One thing I want to make sure that we understand is that when you take the square root of a number squared, like the square root of x squared, it's just x, because the square root and the square are going to cancel out. So it's kind of like x times x. Since there are 2 of them, then it's just going to be x. If you have the square root of x cubed, so that would be x times x times x, then you would take the 2 out, and there would be 1 left over. So it would just stay like that. So anytime that you have an odd number, so if you have the square root of x to the 4th, that's going to be x times x times x times x. So I have this one that comes out, have this pair that comes out, and there's nothing left over. X times x is x squared. So kind of, if you think about, there's really an imaginary 2 here. It's called an index. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's why the answer is just x squared. If you had the square root of x to the 8th, that imaginary 2 goes into 8 4 times, so the answer would be x to the 4th. And the way it works here, that imaginary 2, okay, so 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over, which is why this is your answer. Anyway, so hopefully that helps a little bit as I start going through this. That page here, actually we probably need to add it. So 16 is the biggest perfect square. That'll go into 18, but it doesn't go in evenly. So I'm going to look at 9. I go page, other one. Since 18 can be broken down into 2 numbers, one of the numbers being from that list. So the square root of 18. I know it got really tiny over here. I don't know what happened. So I know that 9 will go into 18 2 times. So the square root of 9 is 3, square root of 2. So that would be that. So now back where you have these problems down here. For example, let me see if I flip this around. If that, nope, that doesn't help me enlarge it at all. Okay, sorry, some of this is just not working with me. I can't get the other format to work. Like number 13 here, I see that I have a square root of 6 and a square root of 6. I'm trying to stay inside the screen so I don't get deleted here. The square root of 3 minus the square root of 3 is negative 6 square root of 6 minus 3 square root of 24. And I just added this one and this one together because they had the same square root. The 3 square root of 24. So if I come over here to the side, actually I'll just do it right here. So negative 3 square root of 24 would be negative 3. And if I separate the 24 to be 4 times 6, this is negative 3 times 2 square root of 6. So that's negative 6 square root of 6. So negative 6 square root of 6 comes down, and then this negative 3 square root of 24 also is negative 6 square root of 6. So now I kind of forced them to have the same square root. So negative 6 minus 6 is negative 12, and the square root of 6 is the common ground, and so that would be the answer there. So this piece over here is just kind of like a side thought for this. And then just so you can get your square roots to be the same. Now going